Now to the latest in Russia's war in Ukraine. President Volodymyr Zelensky has said some 4.5 million Ukrainians, more than 10% of the pre-war population, are temporarily without power because of Russian attacks. We'll hear more from VOA's correspondent in Kyiv shortly. However, on the Black Sea export deal, Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan has said that he had agreed with his Russian counterpart, that the grain sent under the export deal should go to poor African countries for free. Mr. Erdogan made the comment in a speech in Istanbul after Moscow resumed its participation in the UN-brokered grain deal. The export deal was agreed by Russia and Ukraine, brokered by Turkey and the United Nations in July to ease a world hunger crisis, and is due to expire November 19. Well, let's go now to VOA's Anna Chernikova joining us live from Kyiv. Anna, so good to see you. Talk to us. A Moscow-installed official in Kherson has indicated Russian troops might pull back from the west bank of the Dnieper River. How true is this?
Good evening. This is basically we have two images here. If we look at Kherson and Kherson region, so we definitely see that Ukrainian forces are advancing on the right bank of the river of Dnipro, and this is confirmed by Ukrainian officials and also by the Institute for the Study of War and various intelligences, both Ukrainian and international. However, and Russian forces also accepted the fact that actually Ukrainian forces take over and return territories on the right bank. However, Russian forces also communicate the position that Russian forces are running away from the city of Kherson. However, Ukrainian officials and Ukrainian intelligence in particular say that this is not a kind of true. So there is an image that they are running away. However, Ukrainian officials confirmed and reported recently that they see intensifying movement of the military forces and increase of the amount of manpower in that area. And just today, Minister of Defense of Ukraine said that definitely he sees a chance that Russian forces might run away from Kherson. However, this is not the case for the moment, so this would happen if next actions by Ukrainian forces would be successful in a certain way. So for now, we know that Ukrainian forces have fire control of all bridges over the river. This complicates a lot the supply for Russian forces. And also Ukrainian forces have fire control of the territory in general, using artillery and HIMARS in particular, provided by the international and US partners. So this is the image here, and also Ukrainian officials say that we should expect a battle, a big battle for Kherson, and this looks like this, especially when we analyzed the theater of this war and the situation at the front line, because the concentration of forces that is now from both sides there is actually huge. So it's kind of, Russian forces, this is true, they're moving their families, for instance, and certain institutions that they have already created, the territories in Kherson particularly, they move it away from Kherson. However, in terms of forces and manpower, it's increasing. So I guess we will see very heavy fightings in that area and in the city. It might be also in the city, but again, we will see how the situation would evolve.
Indeed, Anna, and many wonder how big that will be, with Russian president saying that civilian population should not have to suffer from the shelling of the offensive and counter-offensive connected to the ongoing military activities there. But talk to us. We understand Ukraine's Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant has been disconnected from the power grid after the shelling damaged it. I mean, are there any reliefs yet?
Well, no, I don't think that it would be correct to say that it is a relief. The situation remains very dangerous and very risky for all this time, but of course, especially at the moments when the power is cut completely. What we know from Energoatom, Ukrainian company, official company responsible for this plant, they said that how they see this, that Russian forces disconnected the power plant this time in order to reconnect it to Crimea and Donbas occupied areas. Again, there is no confirmation of these actions yet, and we cannot independently verify this information as well. This is what we get from Ukrainian officials. But what we know from both Ukrainian and international experts, that actually it was already this kind of try by Russian forces in the past. They didn't manage to connect, or they didn't connect for different reasons, the power plant to Russian power system and Crimea power system particularly. So we'll see if this would be the case this time. However, situation is extremely risky because, as we all understand, generators could work for a very limited period of time. And cooling system is not working, which is of the plant could be extremely catastrophic. So in case something happens to generators, it is actually an extremely dangerous case. So we'll see how all this would end.
Indeed, Anna. Continue to stay safe. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Welcome back. Russia and Ukraine yesterday exchanged 214 captured service personnel in the latest of a series of prisoner swaps. Russia's defense ministry said in a statement that Ukraine had released 107 Russian personnel and that they would be transferred to Moscow for the necessary medical and psychological assistance. Andriy Yermak, the Ukrainian president's chief of staff, said Russia had released 107 Ukrainian fighters, including 74 who had defended the Azovstal steelworks scene of Ukraine's last stand in Mariupol. Footage released by the Russia's defense ministry showed a group of men arriving at an undisclosed meeting point where they were met by Russian soldiers before boarding buses again. In the meantime, British Foreign Minister James Cleverly has said that Russian President Vladimir Putin is trying to distract from his failure on the battlefield by making unfounded accusations against the West and Ukraine. Speaking to local reporters, the UK diplomat said the international community would not get deterred from doing the right thing. Instead, he said, together with the other group of 7 states, the UK will stay focused on the issues at hand, such as continuing to support Ukraine and ensuring food security for those in need.
I thought it meant that they had agreed that the price was going to be. Normally talk to Will, James.
What we've seen from Vladimir Putin is increasingly outrageous accusations being thrown around. They are designed to do one thing and one thing only, which is to distract from his failure on the battlefield. The Ukrainians are defending their homeland incredibly effectively with the support of the international community. That is, of course, bad news for Vladimir Putin. He would prefer the international community to talk about anything else, but we won't be distracted. And the message that we're sending here from the G7 is that we will continue to support Ukrainians defending their homeland, and we will also make sure the disruption to global food supplies is addressed so that the poor people of the world aren't further put under pressure because of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. We always look to defend ourselves against aggression from wherever it might come, whether that's physical aggression or in cyberspace. Of course, the UK works with our international partners to have robust defences in these things, but we will not be deterred from supporting Ukrainians as they defend their homeland against this illegal, unprovoked invasion from Russia. And we will continue working with our international partners to ensure that those grain exports come out of the Black Sea, to ensure that fertilizer exports get to the people that need that support to feed themselves. So we will support the Ukrainians and also the world's poor to make sure they don't slip further into food insecurity because of Russia's actions.